There is a stirring deep within the spirit realm, a divine vibration that is echoing through the lives of those who are sensitive to the movement of God. July 19 is not a coincidence. It is not a random point on a calendar. It is a set time, a kairos moment where eternity intersects with time. There are moments that shift the course of entire generations, and this is one of them. The Lord is speaking not to the surface, but to the root. He is not addressing the temporary, but the eternal. On this day, things buried beneath years of disappointment, fear, and stagnation will be uncovered by the light of His presence. It is a day of divine confrontation and holy invitation. God is confronting the limits His people have placed on themselves and inviting them into the fullness of their calling. July 19 is a door, and those who step through it will not return the same. The Lord has been preparing His people in ways they did not understand. Delays that felt like punishment were actually protection. Closed doors were not rejections, but redirections. Silent seasons were not abandonment, but sacred spaces where roots grew deep. On July 19th, the fruit of that hidden growth will begin to emerge. You thought your prayers had gone unanswered, but I was shaping you, purifying you, and strengthening you for the moment I would bring you forth. This is a birthing moment in the Spirit. There are dreams that have been incubating, visions that have been carried in the womb of prayer, and assignments that have been waiting for divine timing. July 19 is that moment of release. The labor has not been in vain. The pain has not been wasted. What was conceived in intercession will now be born in manifestation. This moment will require obedience. It will not be accessed through talent, intellect, or status, but through faith and surrender. The Lord is not looking for the most impressive. He is looking for the most yielded. He is searching for those who will say, "Here I am, Lord, send me." July 19 will divide those who merely believe in God from those who radically trust Him. It will expose the difference between those who talk about faith and those who live it. The cost of comfort will be too high in this season. God is calling His people to step out of the familiar, to leave the shallow waters of convenience, and wade into the deep where dependence is required. There is a remnant rising, men and women who are unshaken by storms, unafraid of the unknown, and unwilling to settle for anything less than the fullness of God's purpose. They are not moved by applause or criticism. They are moved only by the whisper of His Spirit, and July 19 will be their commissioning day. The earth itself is groaning, waiting for the revealing of the sons and daughters of God. Creation is responding to the sound of heaven. The atmosphere is shifting, and those who are in tune with the Spirit can sense the urgency. July 19 is not just a breakthrough, it is a shift in the prophetic timeline. Battles that have lasted for years will be won in a moment. Cycles that have repeated for generations will be broken in a day. God is not limited by time, and when He moves suddenly. What took decades to destroy will take minutes to restore. What the enemy built in pride, God will tear down in justice. The enemy has tried to distract, discourage, and divide, but the Lord is bringing unity, clarity, and boldness to His people. The sound of fear will be drowned out by the sound of worship. The confusion of culture will be silenced by the truth of the Word. July 19 is also a call to holiness. Not legalism, but holiness, a life set apart, wholly devoted, fully surrendered. The Lord is restoring the awe of His presence. Casual Christianity will not survive this shift. The fire of God is falling, and it will burn away compromise. Those who have played with the things of the world while claiming the name of Jesus will be faced with a choice. There is no room for divided hearts. The Spirit is drawing a line in the sand, and decisions will need to be made. Will you follow the crowd or carry the cross? Will you chase applause or pursue His presence? July 19 will expose motives, refine character, and establish new spiritual authority. God is entrusting mantles, releasing anointings, and commissioning kingdom warriors. This is not the time to spectate. It is the time to arise and advance. For leaders, July 19 will be a turning point. Those who have led in their own strength will be humbled. Those who have served in hiddenness and faithfulness will be elevated. There is a divine shaking in pulpits and platforms. God is dethroning celebrity and enthroning purity. Ministries built on performance will be exposed, while those built on prayer will flourish. The Spirit is moving through the ranks, raising up new voices, fresh messengers, and bold reformers. Age, background, and appearance will not matter, only obedience. July 19 will mark the release of a new generation of prophetic voices, evangelists, teachers, and apostles who fear God more than man. They will speak with fire, lead with love, and walk in humility. This day will also ignite a hunger for the word like never before. Bibles that collected dust will be opened with tears. Scriptures once read out of routine will now burn with revelation. The Spirit of truth will illuminate hidden mysteries, and God's people will find their hearts burning again. July 19 is not just a date. It is a divine marking, a heavenly encounter, a sacred invitation to those who are willing to be transformed beyond recognition by the glory of the living God. There is a divine urgency rising across the spiritual landscape. The Lord is not speaking vaguely or indirectly. He is declaring with clarity that July 19 is a moment of supernatural acceleration, a divine marker that separates the former from what is to come. It is not an ordinary day, and it cannot be approached with an ordinary mindset. It is a day encoded with prophetic instruction appointed in heaven before the foundation of the world. When God marks a moment, it is not for spectacle, it is for transformation. And July 19 is pregnant with purpose, with the power to alter direction, to launch callings, and to awaken what has been dormant. This is not a future possibility. It is a now reality in the eyes of the Lord. The question is not whether God will move. The question is whether his people will be ready to move with him. There are doors that only open when the timing of God aligns with the obedience of man. July 19 is such a doorway. The Lord is positioning his people on the threshold of new territories of influence, of spiritual authority, of legacy and impact. But this door will not swing open through casual Christianity. It will not yield to passive faith or religious routine. It requires active surrender, It requires discernment. It requires the willingness to leave behind what is comfortable for what is consecrated. The Lord is calling his people out of spiritual numbness and into divine alertness. He is removing the scales from eyes, unstopping the ears, and sharpening the spiritual senses. For too long, the church has slumbered while culture surged forward in darkness. But July 19 is a trumpet blast in the spirit, a call to awaken, to arise, and to engage in the purposes of the King. There is a harvest that heaven is ready to release, but it can only fall into hands that are clean and hearts that are prepared. July 19 is not about entitlement. It is about all alignment. There are those who have been hidden, misunderstood, overlooked, and set aside by man, but chosen by God. This is their moment. The last shall be first. Those who have labored in secret, those who have remained faithful in silence, those who have chosen righteousness over relevance, these are the ones the Lord is about to thrust forward. It is not a reward for ambition, but a reward for humility. July 19 will be a great reversal. Systems will shift. Structures will shake. Positions will be reassigned. God is lifting his Davids, his Esthers, his Gideons from obscurity to influence, not for their glory, but for his, not by might or by power, but by his Spirit in the realm of the Spirit. This is also a day of activation. Gifts that have lain dormant will be stirred. Anointings that have been restrained by fear or unbelief will break forth. The prophetic voice will rise with new clarity. The apostolic mantle will come with fresh vision. The evangelistic fire will be ignited with urgency. Pastors and shepherds will be reawakened to their sacred call. Teachers of the word will receive deeper revelation. On July 19, spiritual identities will be confirmed. Mantles will be transferred. Purpose will be clarified. It will be a day of holy commissioning. The Lord is not calling spectators. He is raising up soldiers. The time for hesitation is over. The days of casual compromise are done. This is a clarion call to holiness, to boldness, to truth without apology, and love without condition. God is also releasing strategic blueprints. July 19 will be a time of divine downloads, when those who are listening will hear instructions for building what has never been built before. Businesses, ministries, outreaches, and movements will begin to take shape. The Lord is giving detailed strategies step by step, not just for blessing, but for kingdom advancement. He is raising up Josephs with economic wisdom, Nehemiahs with governmental influence, Daniels with unshakable integrity. This is not merely about spiritual revival. It is about societal transformation. The Lord is placing his people in positions of influence to shift culture, confront injustice, and model righteousness. but strategy without surrender will not succeed. Only those who walk in obedience will be entrusted with these plans. July 19 is an invitation to receive the scroll and run with the vision at the same time. There will be a purging. The fire of God is coming not just to empower, but to purify. Hidden sin will be exposed. Secret compromises will be confronted. July 19 will not only reveal promise, it will reveal motive. This is a day of refining. The Lord is removing mixture. He is separating the pure from the polluted. Those who have manipulated his name for gain will be brought low. Those who have walked in truth and trembling will be elevated. The fear of the Lord is returning to the church. No longer will God's presence be treated casually. No longer will his voice be silenced for convenience. July 19 will mark the beginning of a holy reformation, not shaped by man's design, but by heaven's decree into the broken, the weary, the ones who feel forgotten. This is also your day. July 19 is not only for the prominent, but for the desperate. God is near to the crushed in spirit. God is near to the crushed in spirit. He lifts the head of the bowed down. There are hearts that have carried unspoken pain, disappointments that have become identities. But the Lord is restoring hope. He is healing wounds. He is declaring over you, I still have plans for you. What was meant to bury you will become the soil that births new life. What the enemy used to silence you will become the very testimony that sets others free. The voice of shame is being drowned out by the voice of truth. July 19 will be the beginning of beauty from ashes. Joy from mourning, praise instead of heaviness. This is not a day to be feared, but a day to be embraced. God is moving swiftly, decisively, and powerfully. He is not looking for those who have it all together. He is looking for those who will say yes. The choice is yours. The invitation is extended. The moment is upon you. There are moments in which the eternal intersects with the temporal, when time becomes pregnant with divine intention, and the voice of God resounds louder than the noise of the world. July 19 stands as such a moment, a prophetic turning point, when what has been building in silence will erupt in sudden manifestation. There is a shift taking place in the unseen realm, a rearranging of destinies, alignments, and callings. Heaven is not silent, and God has not abandoned his plan. Rather, he has been preparing, orchestrating, and positioning his people for this very hour. While many have slumbered under the weight of disappointment and delay, the Spirit of the Lord has been brooding over the chaos, ready to bring forth order, clarity, and divine purpose. The shaking has been necessary to loosen the grip of what cannot enter into the next season. July 19 is not just a date, it is a spiritual portal through which destinies will be ushered into their appointed fulfillment. This day has been marked for divine encounters. There are assignments that have been waiting for this precise timing to be activated. Things that were held back by the hand of God for protection are now being released for purpose. Prophetic words that seemed delayed are now aligning with divine timing. The Lord is not slow in fulfilling his promises. He is exact. July 19 will reveal that what felt like delay was actually divine design. There is a season for sowing, a season for pressing, and a season for reaping. This is a reaping season for those who have been faithful in the secret place. Their tears have watered the soil, their prayers have plowed the ground, and now the harvest will begin to spring forth. What has been done in hiddenness will be honored in the open. It is not unjust to forget the labor of love done in his name for many. This moment will mark a deliverance from cycles that have kept them bound. Repeated patterns of fear, shame, addiction, and confusion will be broken by the power of God's presence. July 19 will serve as a spiritual exodus, a departure from bondage into promise. The chains that have held families, generations, and identities will lose their grip in the light of divine truth. There is a wind of deliverance blowing, and it will not leave things as they were. The Lord is silencing the voice of the accuser and amplifying the voice of his Spirit. He is reminding his people of who they are and whose they are. There is a reclaiming of identity taking place. Many have forgotten the calling, the word, the fire they once carried. But the Lord is reigniting what has gone dim. The embers are being stirred into flame, and July 19 will be the spark. This is also a moment of divine realignment. Relationships that have drained your purpose will be pruned. Environments that have stunted your growth will be removed. God is not cruel. He is intentional. Sometimes divine separation is necessary for divine elevation. The Lord is removing props and false comforts that hindered full dependency on Him. He is calling His people to walk by faith and not by familiarity. July 19 will reveal the people, places, and patterns that can no longer travel with you into what's next. It will hurt, but it will heal. The Lord is not taking from you. He is making room for what is greater. There is divine clarity coming that will make sense of what you didn't understand in past seasons. What once looked like loss will be revealed as divine exchange. God never removes without restoring something better, more fruitful, and more aligned with His plan. There is also a divine commissioning taking place. God is calling voices out of silence, leaders out of hiding, warriors out of fear. July 19 will be a launch pad for new movements, new mandates, and new ministries. The wilderness has prepared the way, and now the commissioning comes. Just as Jesus was baptized and heaven opened with divine affirmation, many will hear the voice of God resounding over them with clarity, identity, and purpose. The heavens are opening, and what was once cloudy will become clear. The Lord is placing new mantles. There is a divine echo reverberating through the corridors of the Spirit, a sound that is calling the hearts of God's people to awaken, to prepare, to expect. July 19 carries with it a sacred weight, a significance that cannot be measured by the natural mind alone. It is a day charged with prophetic intention, a day heaven has marked for revelation, release, and reformation. It is not just a moment in time, but a spiritual turning point where God will begin to unveil things long hidden, to release what has been held back, and to accelerate what has seemed delayed. This is not merely a moment of individual breakthrough, but a corporate awakening. It is a holy interruption to the patterns of stagnation, complacency, and spiritual weariness that have lulled many into passive survival. The voice of the Lord is breaking through that fog now, calling His people to rise, to see, to step forward into a new dimension of their assignment. The Lord has seen the hidden tears, the weary prayers, the long nights of silence and struggle. July 19 is a divine response. Not because you earned it, but because God appointed it. His covenant faithfulness is not dependent on performance, but on His sovereign promise. He has been preparing the way in unseen realms, shifting circumstances, aligning people, and orchestrating events. On this day, you will begin to see with your natural eyes what your spirit has long carried in faith. The shift will not be subtle. It will be undeniable. It will be as if a curtain has lifted and suddenly what was hazy becomes sharp. What was uncertain becomes clear, and what was distant becomes near. This is a time when prophetic vision will increase. The Lord is granting sight to the blind, clarity to the confused, and boldness to the hesitant. Fear is being evicted and faith is being empowered. There are assignments that have waited for this moment. Mandates that have been simmering below the surface are now coming into full view. The process has not been punishment, it has been preparation. God was never delaying, He was developing. He was developing. He was cultivating in you what the assignment would require. The strength to carry weight without breaking, the humility to steward influence without pride, the endurance to stay the course without compromise. Now the time has come. July 19 is a release date for purpose. Callings that have been dormant will awaken. Gifts that were once hidden will activate. Voices that have been silent will rise with authority. This is a day of spiritual commissioning, where those who have walked through fire will emerge with refined character and divine power. The Lord is putting a sword in your hand and fire in your mouth. He is calling you not just to survive, but to occupy, to establish, to build what has never been built before. This moment also marks a turning point in spiritual authority. The Lord is removing false coverings, exposing empty titles, and raising up voices of purity and truth. July 19 is a divine shift in leadership and influence. Those who have led with control, manipulation, or personal agenda will see their platforms shaken. Those who have led with humility, integrity, and quiet obedience will be entrusted with more. God is dethroning performance and enthroning presence. He is removing the polished and elevating the anointed. This is not a time to chase visibility. It is a time to embrace responsibility. Those who have remained hidden in caves of preparation are being summoned to the battlefield. There is a divine transfer taking place, a spiritual handing over of mantles from the proud to the humble, from the entitled to the obedient, from the self-serving to the self-sacrificing. God is raising up leaders after his own heart on a personal level. July 19 will be a day of healing and restoration. Emotional wounds that lingered for years will suddenly lose their power. Lies spoken over you will be silenced by truth. The weight of shame, regret, and unworthiness will be lifted as the love of God floods hearts in a fresh and tangible way. This is not just a breakthrough in circumstances, but a breakthrough in identity. God is reminding his people who they are. No longer defined by failures, limited by past choices, or restrained by labels placed by others, the Lord is declaring, "You are mine, chosen, appointed, and anointed." The insecurity that once ruled will be replaced with holy confidence. The timidity that once held you back will give way to a spirit of boldness. The restoration on this day is not just a return to where you were. It is an elevation to where you were always meant to be. This day will also mark a significant release of divine provision. The resources needed to fulfill the vision will begin to flow. Doors that were sealed will open. Connections that seemed impossible will be made. Delayed finances, withheld opportunities, blocked breakthroughs, all will begin to move. God is removing the lid. He is expanding capacity. He is entrusting wealth, ideas, innovations, and influence to those whose hearts are fully surrendered. But this provision is not for comfort. It is for commissioning. It is for impact, for building, for establishing the kingdom in ways that shift culture and transform communities. God is blessing not just the faithful individual, but the kingdom assignment attached to their obedience. July 19 is not about accumulation. It is about activation. The resources coming will be tools to accomplish the vision and fulfill the heavenly blueprint. There is also an awakening among the youth and the next generation. The Lord is stirring a holy fire in hearts that the world said were distracted and lost. Young people will begin to dream prophetic dreams, see visions, speak truth with boldness, and walk in purity with passion. July 19 will be the beginning of a generational wave of revival, where the fathers and mothers in the faith will link arms with sons and daughters to build what no generation could do alone. The Spirit is bridging gaps, healing generational wounds, and releasing a double portion of anointing that carries legacy and multiplication. This is not the end. It is the beginning of something unprecedented in scope and power. What was impossible will begin to shift. Intercessory prayers that were once met with silence will be met with movement. Heaven has heard, and now heaven is responding. This moment also comes with a call to prepare, to steward what is coming with wisdom and diligence. The outpouring will not sustain itself without structure. The Spirit is raising up Nehemiahs who will rebuild what has been torn down, not just with spiritual fervor, but with practical excellence. July 19 is not the finish line. It is the commissioning. It is the moment the scroll is opened, the instructions are read, and the charge is given. The oil is coming, but the vessels must be ready. Those who have built altars in the quiet place, who have remained faithful when it felt fruitless, who have not bowed to the pressures of culture, they are the ones who will carry the weight of what is about to be released. The enemy has sensed the shift and has released a wave of fear, confusion, distraction, and discouragement to try and sabotage the readiness of the people of God. But July 19 will expose the schemes of the enemy and reestablish spiritual authority. The intercessors will rise with fire. The worshipers will sing with the sound that breaks chains. The teachers will speak with clarity that dismantles lies. The apostles will pioneer with courage. The evangelists will go forth with harvest in their hands. The time for delay is over. The call is now. The moment is upon us. Heaven is watching. Hell is trembling. Creation is groaning. The King is calling. And July 19 will be the day where many say, this is where it began. This is where everything shifted. There is a divine stirring echoing across the nations, a sound not born from the noise of this world, but from the throne room of heaven. July 19 has been marked not by the hands of men, but by the voice of God himself. It is a sacred appointment, a moment encoded with prophetic purpose and supernatural alignment. The Lord is calling his people to attention, to awaken from complacency and rise in readiness. This is not a season to be casual or passive. It is a moment that demands sensitivity, discernment, and obedience. Heaven is releasing instructions that will not only impact the individual path, but influence entire regions, families, and generations. Families and generations. This day will not be like any other. It is a turning point in the Spirit, a divine pivot ordained before time for those positioned to receive. Many have been walking through seasons of crushing, of wilderness, of seeming contradiction. They have questioned if God was still moving, if the promises would ever come to pass, if the pain had a purpose. But July 19 will begin to reveal what was hidden in the fire. It will be the beginning of the unveiling, where the seemingly random trials and closed doors will make sense. Like gold refined in the furnace, the remnant will emerge radiant, purified, and equipped. There is a divine exchange happening. This is for beauty, mourning for joy, heaviness for a garment of praise. This is not merely a date on the calendar. It is a doorway into divine destiny. The timeline of heaven and earth are intersecting, and those who perceive the shift will walk into realms they only dreamed of before the Lord is releasing assignments that have been held in reserve for such a time as this. He is handing out scrolls with fresh mandates, calling his people to step into arenas they felt unqualified for. But this is not a moment for the confident. It is a moment for the consecrated. God is not looking for the polished, but for the yielded, not for those with influence, but for those with intimacy. July 19 will mark the commissioning of new voices, unexpected leaders, and hidden warriors. Some who have been overlooked and underestimated will suddenly be recognized and elevated, not by the approval of man, but by the anointing of God.